Well guys, there you have it. Dark Season 3 has come to a beginning. It feels really weird to be living in a world where we no longer have any Dark to look forward to, but at least we can all be satisfied that we got through it without fading away. In this video, I'm going to do my best to explain what happened in the conclusion to this wildly entertaining and thought-provoking show. If I make a mistake, let me know in the comments, I'd love to correct myself. Before I begin, I will say that if you're looking for a review of the series, this video is not going to be that. I'll be posting a more in-depth review later in the week, when I have an opportunity to let it sink in. I'm not a fan of giving my opinion fresh out of the box, so we'll see how I feel. Maybe even I'll rewatch it again. What I will tell you now is that I'm very happy with Season 3, and I think I was right that it didn't disappoint. Anywho, here we go. So, throughout Season 3, we saw a war of sorts between two opposing sides, the light and the shadow. We learned that Alt-Marta ages to become an Adam-like figure called Eva, whose goal is to continue the cycle. Adam wants to destroy the cycle, and thus time itself. They both attempt to do this by sending their soldiers out to complete various tasks in order to ensure that their plans come to fruition. Eva has discovered that time stands still for a moment during the apocalypse. During this brief standstill, she's able to splinter a timeline into two different directions by preventing an event from taking place. We see this for the first time when Alt-Marta goes and rescues Jonas from the apocalypse and takes him to the alternate world. This, in essence, splits the world, or the timeline we've been seeing, into two. One in which Jonas is taken to the alt world, impregnates Alt-Marta, and is eventually shot by a slightly older, scarred version of Alt-Marta, and another where he isn't saved by Alt-Marta, but he manages to save himself by getting into the basement. He then goes and locates middle-aged Claudia and works with her to be able to manipulate the God Particle to allow time travel. Eventually, this Jonas ages to become Stranger Jonas and eventually Adam. I'm sure the first question you have is, well, which one is the real Jonas? Which one is the one we've been following since Season 1? Simply, or not so simply as it were, the answer is both. Both Jonases were one, up until the point the apocalypse happened in Season 2, Episode 8. At that point, their timelines split. One of them went on to be Adam, and the other one went on to be shot by Alt-Marta. This explains why Stranger Jonas in 1888 said that he had never been to Alt-Marta's world, because he hadn't. He wasn't saved by Alt-Marta. He's the one who got to the basement. Now, if you're still with me, here's where it might get a little more confusing. So, just like Jonas's timeline was split, so was Alt-Marta's. One in which she saved Jonas and took him to the alt world, and one in which Alt-Bartos stopped her from doing that after he was saved from an older version of himself. Although it may seem that this creates 4 timelines, 2 for Jonas, 2 for Alt-Marta, in reality it's still only 2 timelines. One in which Jonas and Alt-Marta both travel to the alternate world together, and one in which Jonas goes to the basement and Alt-Marta goes with Bartos. It is important to note that Alt-Marta, at the point of her timeline splinter, has already met Jonas when he came to the alt world. She's travelled to the future in the alt world with him, she's got it on with him, making her pregnant with his child. Therefore, both versions of Alt-Marta are pregnant with the same Jonas's child. The Alt-Marta who saves Jonas travels back to 1888, where she gives Stranger Jonas a glass sphere containing the God Particle, which will eventually lead to Adam's machine being created. She then whisks herself away to Adam, who we learn has been directing her since Magnus and Francisca rescued her from the apocalypse. Adam then keeps her in a cage, and then eventually reveals that he's going to destroy her and the baby she's carrying, who at this point we found out is the new trio of characters. Adam views this baby as the source of the two worlds being intertwined, and so therefore he destroys it along with Alt-Marta by channeling the energy of the apocalypse right down on her. Adam believes this will destroy time and everything with it. Everything will just go to black. He's wrong. Adam had no knowledge of this second Alt-Marta who didn't rescue Jonas from the apocalypse. The knowledge of these timeline splinters has allowed Eva to have an upper hand on Adam. He believed that there was only one origin, and if he killed it, it would end the world. He had no idea that Eva had a second Marta, pregnant with the origin laying in wait. Therefore, when he destroyed her, nothing happened, as that version of Alt-Marta was never destined to have the child. The second Alt-Marta, who was rescued by Bartos, is cut and scarred by Eva. She then shoots Jonas dead. Well, one of them. This is the Alt-Marta who will eventually grow old to become Eva. If this was left as it was, or left as it is, I suppose, then Eva would win, and the cycle would repeat. However, unbeknownst to them all, Cluedo Claudia has been on the case. She killed her alt self and impersonated her in order to gain a broader knowledge of every aspect of the time loop, in an attempt to find a way to save Regina. Claudia realizes that there must be a third world, due to the fact that not everyone is part of the crazy knot that is the family tree. This confirms that Tronte is not Regina's father, like we all thought, even Tronte himself thought. Claudia explains to Adam that the two worlds, the Prime world from Season 1 and 2, and the alternate world from Season 3, are not actually supposed to exist, and they only exist due to an accident in a third world, known as the Origin World. The Origin World is the real world, and it has always existed. The Prime and alternate worlds were created by Origin H.G. Tannhaus when he created a time machine in order to go back in time to save his son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter. He mistakenly destroyed his world and made Adam and Eva's world. This is very similar to the theory that I put forward in my Some More Theories video, so if you're interested to see what I got right and wrong, check that out. Here's a clue. There was a lot I got wrong. From this point, Claudia instructs Adam to rescue Jonas from the apocalypse. Claudia then takes herself off to apologize to her father, give Agnes the newspaper article, and be killed by Noah. In fact, I have a feeling that everything we see old Claudia do in Seasons 1 and 2 actually happened after this talk with Adam in her timeline. So the whole time in Season 1 and 2, she already knew that she was going to win. Adam then rescues Jonas, this being the Jonas that wasn't saved by Alt Marta. This splits the timeline again. Adam then instructs Jonas to save Alt Marta before she's taken by Magnus and Franziska, which he does so pretty skillfully, I must say. So then we have a Jonas who is not destined to be Adam and is not destined to be killed by Alt Marta, and we have an Alt Marta who is not destined to be killed by Adam and is not destined to be Eva. So this Jonas and this Alt Marta have a different future than the ones we've seen before. They travel to 1986, where they await Origin H.G. Tannhaus turning on his machine and creating the portal between the worlds. This happens, and they're taken into a tunnel of sorts, with lights glowing and moving all around them. This tunnel is the tunnel between the worlds, in between time. Both Jonas and Alt Marta are in their own tunnel, it seems, and they're both calling out to each other. This calling out seems to cause them both to see each other as children through a door. Alt Marta sees child Jonas through the Carnvold basement door, and Jonas sees child Alt Marta through her closet. I loved this moment, as it really put across the idea that this Jonas and this Marta were destined to be here at this moment. The fact that they saw one another as children, which was later confirmed by Alt Marta when she recalled the memory to Jonas. This leaves a nice question for the end of the series, as I'm a firm believer that there always has to be something that the audience can debate and think about. So what I think we'll be debating is, was Claudia just special? Why was she the only character that seemed to be able to display free will in her choices? Well, I think that this experience Alt Marta and Jonas had when they were young, when they see each other through the doors, was actually put in to have us question, was this actually Claudia's fate to untie the knot, and not her free will like she believes it is? The tunnel has 3 passages that converge in the middle like the time travel tunnel in the caves. Jonas and Alt Marta meet in the middle, having each come from what I assume is their own world's tunnel. Jonas uses a spherical time device while still in the tunnel to transport himself and Alt Marta to the night that Origin H.G. Tannhaus's family is killed in the car accident. Jonas and Alt Marta appear directly in front of the car, making them spin out. Jonas tells them that the bridge is closed, and they therefore return to H.G. Tannhaus and their death is avoided. This prevents time travel from being invented, and thus the Alt World and the Prime World cease to be. All the characters we've come to know and love disappear in a cloud of lovely lights. We then get a scene in the Origin World, with the various characters who were not involved in the genetic Rubik's Cube that was the Prime and Alt Worlds. Peter Doppler and Benny Voller are partners. Torben Voller and Hannah are partners and expecting a baby. Regina and Katarina seem happy. Side note, how bad must Ulrich have been if you take him out of the equation? Hannah and Katarina are best of mates. Then the lights go out in a similar way to how they do in previous seasons when time travel has occurred. I assume this is to signify the two worlds imploding and ceasing to be. I mean, this would cause some sort of nuclear reaction, I'm sure. They then have a moment which I think is going to go down like Lost's They Were All Dead. I've already seen a few people commenting on YouTube videos saying that at least Jonas will get to live in the Origin world because Hannah's going to call a child Jonas. Let me just say this once and say it clear. Jonas cannot exist in the Origin world. Ulrich does not exist. Mikkel does not exist. So therefore Jonas cannot exist. Okay? She will have a different child with the same name Jonas. Well, there you go. I tried to keep this video as simple and easy to follow as possible. I didn't explain everything as I wanted to stick to the main storyline's ending, and I wanted to keep this video compact. I'm planning on releasing a full review in the next few days, as well as a video on unanswered questions as well. Looking at the success I've had in the first few weeks I've been on YouTube, I'm inspired to keep it up. So even though Dark has come to an end, I will be hanging around on YouTube to continue theorizing, analyzing, and reviewing TV and film for the foreseeable future. On that note, if you have any suggestions about what you'd like me to cover, I'm all ears, leave a comment below. But don't worry, there'll always be a place for Dark on my channel. It's my favourite show of all time, and this third season just confirmed that. I think I'm going to be making video essays on it until the day I die. As for the short term though, look out for that review in a few days.